Welcome everyone to Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth single and comparison car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. With Thomas and another best of comparison video with two very interesting cars. It's about the top luxury saloon segment today, Mercedes S-Class against the Maserati Quattroporte. Well, the Quattroporte definitely less amount in the sales figures, definitely huge gap between those two brands. But that could also be quite attractive because if you want to have a more special car, because S-Class is quite commonly used in the top luxury saloon segment. So let's go into details from these two cars, and later on we discuss the results and also which one would you and which one would I go for. So what I love about the Maseratis is the Trident logo, which is all in this very huge front grille in black. This is always a signature. And in this case, the new headlights, this car is now from 2013. In the 6th generation, the headlights are now dynamically drawn to the back a little bit. So it's also quite a nice feature. What is remarkable about the hood, it doesn't have a central power dome. The power dome kind of goes inside, so you have kind of two power domes, right and the left. So 50 years ago, and now it's the 6th generation, the car is about 100,000 euros or dollars each. The diesel we got here, it's a V6 diesel, 3 liters and 275 horsepower. This is the cheapest version actually, and there are also two petrol versions with a V6 or with a V8. This is one of the very special cars. You can talk so much about the interior, and in my opinion the interior of a car is always more important than the exterior. You can argue about it, of course. I'd love to hear your comments about this sort of mine, but you know, most of the time you're sitting inside the car, and so you also see the interior. I think this is also a reason to go for the Maserati than for the German premium manufacturers, because in this case here it's all more exciting and something all extraordinary. They're covered with a blue background, which is of course my favorite color. In this case it's also fitting to the exterior color, as well as the analog clock here also got this blue background. Maserati tends to do that, and I think it's very good. Also gives you a nice contrast to the dashboard, for example, and to the seats. I'm not sure how you really see it in the video, but it's not all black. It's a very dark brown color, and that is, you know, this brown color to the blue. That is such a nice combination, in my opinion. Then we got the classic Maserati wooden cover here. This is a dark wood here with a shiny surface. I tend to go for the wood elements which are matte on the surface, because they are not kind of when you put your fingers on it, you don't see any stains on it. But in this case, it's of course also very elegant, and it's just, you know, your personal taste to go for the dark, matte or shiny wood, whatever. And then also the central console is covered in it. I also expect that of a luxury car. And then we have several options to store, for example, the key in it, or to open the basement garage, or for your drinks, for example. And then here in the middle part, about the infotainment system, directly you can access the seat heating, 2 levels, high and normal. as well as the seat cooling, which is optional, by the way. Also 2 different levels, also for the co-driver. But then if you want to access anything else, you first have to press accept, and I think that's kind of a little bit annoying. Then what is very good, that everyone understands it immediately. Telephone, GPS for navigation, climate functions, seat heating, for audio and the radio. That's really okay because everyone understands it. But of course it's the same system that is used on all over the corporation, Fiat, Jeep, all cars they have. And I'm not sure what a Maserati customer will think about if the same system is built in the Fiat. So I'm not quite sure about that. And also just the visual appearance doesn't seem to me much premium worse, So, and of course the Maserati Quattroporte is also a chauffeur car, 5.26 meters long. And basically the main function is to drive along one person, because then the front seat can be moved way in the front. And then you also have unlimited space for your legs. If you use a car with 4 persons, by the way, when I have the driver's seat, for me, I'm almost 190 meters, if they have the driver's seat fitted for me, and then go right back to the driver's seat, then kind of the knees and the seats are connected almost here, so there isn't too much space for the knees, but it does still fit, of course. But, even in some compact cars you have this kind of leg space, and so I would have expected a little bit more of that then. But then of course if you got the co-driver seat all in the front, that's kind of how you're usually chauffeured, then it doesn't really matter. Then it's more about how comfortable the seats are here in the back. And I must say I'm not a big fan of chauffeuring in sedans anymore, because it's these full-size SUVs, for example, if you drive in a Range Rover long wheelbase, you sit upright. And here always in the big sedans, doesn't matter if you're a HELAC or in the S-Class or the R8, you always tend to fall a little bit to the back. Okay, you can say maybe you can use it to relax, but I think it's not kind of the optimum seating position for humans in general. Now about the shifting lever, it's all electronically. There's a button here behind that. I have to press it and then pull it all the way down to D, and then we can drive. Right now we're just in normal mode of the diesel, so it's very silent, and altogether, the whole sound isolation is very good. So you almost hear nothing from the outside. Right now there's very stormy weather outside, a lot of wind, but you hear nothing here inside. And that's really something remarkable, also in comparison to other premium cars. It's very well done here. Maybe you heard that small click sound. That was actually the automatic closing of the doors when we reach about 20 kilometers an hour. So that's also a safety feature, because there has been some incidents where people were pulled out of the car when they were, for example, stopping at a traffic light. So now it stays closed all the time until you open the car again or you press the unlock button. The steering wheel is quite huge, quite big, so it's not really a sporty feeling. Also when turning here around, right and left, no really sporty feeling. It is a big sedan, yes, so it's basically more about luxury driving and cruising, but still, it's a Maserati, and Maserati says, okay, we are a very sporty brand, so I would also expect a more sportier steering wheel. Just the design of the steering wheel is very beautiful, but it's not that sporty. But however, because it's so big, it also feels like it would cost a lot of money, because small steering wheels, they can be very sporty, but also tend to be a little bit cheap. So it depends on what you like more. So when standing still here as well, we hear the diesel, but you can't really hear it's diesel. And there's also this very special sport feature, because when we go in the sport mode here, the sound of the diesel also changes. You can't really hear it when you're standing still, but as soon as you accelerate, this V6 diesel 3 liter also sounds like, for example, a V6 petrol engine, and that is done with a sound generator. It's, if you think about it, if the first time it's maybe a little bit awkward, but it actually works. It's really a sound generator that is filtering out the good noises, the very pleasant noise from the exhaust, and then giving it via speakers to the inside of the cabin. What about the agility of this car? You must remember it weighs 1.9 tons. So it's a really heavy car actually, and you also feel that in the corners, especially when you're going faster. Also the steering wheel is not that sporty, and in general the steering, I'm not that quite content with it because it feels rather artificial. When standing still or for example in the parking lot, it helps you because you can steer very easily. But you need a lot of turnaround, so there's no progressive steering. Also, I think a factor I think I'm not that happy about. You see it, for example, here when I'm now turning here in the turnabout. I have to turn the steering wheel way around. I mean, you know, at this progressive steering, even for example in the Volkswagen Golf or Seat Leon, you would maybe have needed half the way or something like that.
I can tell you it's the essence of luxury. I mean, this is a slogan, but if you drive that car, if you experience that car, this slogan really becomes a reality. I mean, just look at these very nice, nearly British appearance here in this middle section of the dashboard with this wood and then these 4 round air vents. Actually, we have 6 altogether, 4 in the middle and 2 others at the ends, and a very quite little analog clock here. I think this is maybe a bit too small. It could be larger in comparison to the air vents. But the most striking detail in this interior are these TFT screens, and this one is the largest, as far as I know, the largest in the entire automobile industry. It has a diameter of 12.3 inch in the diagonal. And if you talk to Mercedes interior designers, they say this is the largest we can do, that it will not grow anymore, this is the maximum. But actually, if you look at this, it's like a little TV screen, isn't it? And in front of the driver, we have the instruments. You can dim out certain elements and dim in others. So it's very easy to configure it to your personal purposes. The steering wheel, we have here this Mercedes-Benz badge. I mean, I don't know if you can show this, and it's a very old-fashioned romantic writing, and it's the only little piece which is retro in this car. And I heard from Mercedes interior designers there were a lot of discussions about this. Shall we do this or not? In the end, they have done it, and I think it's a nice little piece. The steering wheel itself is only 2-spoke, which is a bit unique nowadays. Normally you always have 3-spoke steering wheels. And there was some joking in internet blogs about this steering wheel, and I mean, it's true. If you look at it, it looks a bit like a clown's face. This is what they call it, a smiling clown. Well, but I mean, it's all wood here again, the rim. And we have here also this beautiful aluminum structure between the leather and the wood. I mean, this is really craftsmanship at its very best. And I know that Mercedes really tried with this car to gain some ground again on Audi. Most of it Audi, because Audi was considered as #1 in interior design. And the Mercedes guys think now with this car they have come equal again and maybe even past Audi in certain areas. So we are now going to do the acceleration test. It's a little bit of wheel spin. Wann ist Ende? 4.8 seconds is the official figure from the factory for this version, which has a power output of 455 PS and a maximum torque of 700 Newton meter. 700, I repeat it, Newton meter. So let's have a short look to the exterior design of the new S-Class. It's 5 meter and 12 centimeters long, so it's a really grand limousine, and this is only the short wheel version. There will also be a long wheelbase version. And look to the details here in the headlights. We have this Mercedes-Benz writing, very nice detail. Also note here in the windscreen various radar lenses and cameras for the various driving assistance systems, 4 together. I mean, this is really high technology here. And coming back to the actual design, we have this famous dropping line of the new Mercedes design, which starts here very high. It's important for a big car like this that you have a large grille, steep front end. So this is a lot of representation. People in China or in the Middle East will love that. So here's a dropping line. It starts here and then gradually slopes down to the rear fender, and then it runs out somewhere here. And to the tail end, again here very complex LED lighting. We should maybe switch that on later. And then we have the exhaust outlets, 2 for the V8 for both sides, and then the trunk is 510 liters content, 510 liters, and we have some additional storage underneath here, and very solid of course here these hinges, and then when you close it you just leave it in that position and then it closes itself altogether. So, coming to the interior, we have here this typical Mercedes-Benz switches for the seats, you see? Here, most cars have their switches here directly on the seat, but it's a traditional Daimler-Benz or Mercedes to have this in the door, and it's actually, it forms a seat. It's very nice. You have here the headrest, and then here you can vary the actual seat. And here we have the massage functions. It has a hot stone massage function as an option, so you can feel like in a wellness center here. Very nice. So, and then final look to the rear of the car. Of course, this is also a chauffeur's limousine. Many customers in certain countries will have a chauffeur and will make themselves comfortable in the rear. So, and as I mentioned before, we have here again the same system with the wood and the leather, and all the switches here are in galvanized aluminum, all in this aluminum finish. You might like this. I personally dislike it a little bit. It's not my personal taste, but it doesn't matter. So let's enter the rear compartment. Yes, and as you would expect, we have here some vanity mirrors for the ladies. Very nice detail popping out of the ceiling. Again here, some switches which we didn't identify at the moment. So this is also, of course, the environment for long distance traveling, and as I said, there will be a long wheelbase version, and there will be even more leg room and knee room in these cars. Also here we have the air vents in the same design like in the front. You have some storage here in the backrests. So a first conclusion of this short driving impression on the S-Class, the S500. Of course, you are very impressed about all the comfort features and the safety features. You need at least, I think, half a day to learn what this car is capable to do in all its details. What impressed me most was the V8 engine. Of course, it's not very economical, but it's a great power plant and it's a very nice noise, by the way, a typical V8 sound. And this magic carpet ride. I mean, it's an air suspension, this car, and even on very rough roads, it has such a compliant ride. It's fantastic.
So technology-wise, I think Mercedes is actually a step ahead of the Maserati. And also from the interior, what we've seen as the technology, this huge screen that actually was quite cool. But I also heard that there were actually some problems with the screen already, and there were some failures with it. So I'm not really sure if it's the best solution then. Just also from suspension-wise, also the Mercedes is really leading in this case. However, the Maserati, I think, offers a little bit of special stuff, because if you want to buy such an expensive car, well, it depends on, do you want to have it as a chauffeur car? Then I would go for the S-Class. Do you want it also as a car to drive on your own? Then I would go for the Maserati, because I think it offers a little bit more driving fun and something more special, something more Italian. So that's my verdict. What's yours? And see you next time at Autogefühl.